Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Mantra 6 Mandukya Upanishad. A need felt probably within the seeker, the seer of this particular mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. Having already spoken about the three states of the awareness, namely the waking state, the dream state, and the dreamless deep sleep state. The last mantra, number 5, was about the sleep state, the dreamless sleep. The number 6 is an extension to the understanding that has been given a slight elaboration by adding few more attributes to the Sushupti. The Sushupti awareness. What was the need felt? The need felt was on account of the silence which has been informed about the sleep. Silence. Silence on the account that waking state full of activity. The human is outward, interacting with the world outside. In the sleep, the same interaction is there within. And almost all the instruments deployed are the same, that are outward and inward both. The moment we come to the third state of awareness, we transcend into it, everything undergoes a change. That has been informed as a dreamless state where there is total silence, no activity, zero activity, almost like a black hole. Probably the seer would have envisioned at the time that the common understanding may not get deluded on the count that we are talking about a state of awareness where there is nothingness, nothing happening. Sushupti, the dreamless. Because there is enough evidence to prove and experience the Jagrat Avastha, the waking state, enough evidence to prove about the dream state, Swapana. But what about the Sushupti? No count, nothing. How to prove that this itself is a state? And this is a state which holds enough significance because it approximates the core of this entire existence, that is the Atma. So, as a Jeev, Jeev means the being, the one which is under the impel of the karma, vulnerable to change, and has to follow a cycle of life, death, rebirth. And here we are approximating Atma in the dreamless state Sushupti. So Sushupti must be highlighted. Therefore, an insertion of a special mantra 6 has been brought. Since we are in a proximity to the source of this entire creation, therefore, the mantra 6 informs us deliberately that the one which stands right affront to such a state is the Lord itself, Sarveshwara, one who is the bestower of the entire discipline of this creation, the source of this creation, the creator, the sustainer, and the one in whom everything dissolves, dissipates. So Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, rभव-अप व्ययौ. This is the term ascribed to that. So this Vedantic understanding, in order to ground the belief towards Sushupti, the dreamless state, has brought this particular mantra in place as mantra 6, where it informs that in the state of Sushupti, one stands almost affront, approximates that creator, omniscient, omnipresent, knowing everything, and the source to the entire creation. all beings in all forms, not only the living, animate and inanimate, all. Sarva Bhutani, Hi Bhutanam, the way it mentions here. So, in order to give adequate significance to Sushupti, this particular mantra appears to be inserted over here. The state of Pragya, which is the Sushupti, to equate it in the utmost proximity to Atma, the Lord itself. Although the seer could have very easily furthered from the mantra 5 to the state of awareness towards the Turiya Avastha, which although is not directly mentioned, but it has been brought in as an indicator from a mention in some other Upanishad. The mantra 6 is to ground the belief and the importance of Sushupti, which holds its stand as a threshold, not only when we transcend from waking to dream, this is the threshold, as well from sleepless towards that final plunge, even then this appears to be the threshold. So, to highlight and bring and give importance to the state of Sushupti, this mantra has been brought over here. Let me also mention that yogis, they strive to remain alert, in complete awareness, even in the state of Sushupti. They strive for that because otherwise, in the process of the nature, there's the flow of the nature. When we transcend into Sushupti, nothing that transpires there is known, cannot be counted upon, cannot be deciphered, cannot be indicated. It is totally everything going on within nothingness. So it may not seem to the seeker that there is no such state as Sushupti. Therefore, the seer brings it in this particular form. Let me take an example from the mortal plane. Although the examples that we borrow from the mortal plane, in order to bestow some understanding about the domain of consciousness, do not dispense adequate justice, yet they give us enough room to at least bring forth the indication, some explanation. There are places where there is a lot of pollution in the sky, even the dense clouds. Nothing appears atop. The sky appears totally black. It's total blackout. It be taken that if there is nothing that appears into the sky, maybe on the count of a veil cast by the pollution or because of the dense cloud, should it be taken that nothing exists into the sky? What about those countless satellites? What about those countless celestial objects? So many things in the sky, stars. Can they be simply ignored or taken as absent? No, they may not be visible. Likewise, is an indication to the state of Sushupti. Nothing appears to be known, nothing appears to be into the notices, nothing appears to be deciphered, to counted upon. But yet everything is there because it itself is the unmanifest state that is the source for entire creation, sustenance, and dissolution. So, Sushupti has been also termed by various seers as a form of a yoga. I would not exceed to say that one becomes a co creator in the state of Sushupti because Adiguru Shankaracharya has already dismantled this particular understanding. But yet, we can slide through this idea that if somehow we can move a particular objective into the state of Sushupti, the chances for its manifestation and fructification, they increase, they become very high. Why? Because it is the moment when we are approximating the source to the entire creation. And if some objective can be slided through into that particular state of awareness, the state of Sushupti, then anything that goes into that state can easily fetch from the unmanifest dimension adequate enough to manifest the behavioral patterns that can be changed if the instructions or the signals are brought from the Sushupti are going to be almost immutable. Nobody can easily change anyone's behavior from the depths of one's understanding. Forget about the outward force, outward fear, outward penalty, or incentives. If something has to rise from the depths of one's own understanding for a change in one's temperament or a response, then it has to be sourced through a different source which is beyond. Sushupti appears to be one of them. That is why Sushupti yoga in itself holds enough significance for several seekers who want to master the skill whereby they can push any of their objective within a very specific phrase, a mantra of its own kind that they punctuate as an objective and get into the deep sleep. Yog Nidra is also considered as a technique that one slides through into Sushupti directly from Jagrit and bypassing the dream state, the Swapna Avastha. Sushupti holds adequate importance. Its existence approximates the Atma, the source which will find its mention in the Mantra 7, and to bring enough adequate seriousness within the seekers about the state, this particular mantra finds its insertion here in the Upanishad. Having said so, although there is enough that can be brought to your notices, drawing much inference from Mandukya Karika by Brahmrishi Gaudapada ji, but here we are taking small notes of understanding so that we can make way and generate an interest into the seekers so that in the coming future we may embark upon the Gaudapadacharya Mandukya Karika. That is an exhaustive elaboration upon these 12 verses of Mandukya Upanishad. Having said so, enough for the day. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Hi Satya Hai Om Hi Satya Hai Om Hi Satya Hai